Hi, I'm Michael Castiglione. I'm a chief designer here at Advanced Product Design Center. It's called Pacifica in Chrysler.
I'm Alan Barrington, designer at the Pacifica Studio and designer of the Challenger interior.
Part of what made this car happen is we already had a great rear drive platform that's gotten great reviews. We've got the powertrain, it's rear drive. And to get there, we had to modify this platform rather than start fresh. So one of the first things we did as it evolved was how much can we actually shorten that platform, because it's pretty big, and we got 4 inches out of it. So it shortened the wheelbase from 120 to 116. And through that, yeah, maybe you could argue that we would have, if we had a clean sheet of paper, maybe it would have been a little bit smaller, but there's some real pros that come out of that too. Like, it has realistic rear seating. It has a decent sized couple. It's got plenty of headroom in the rear, so you can travel with 4, possibly 5 people pretty comfortably in it.
Muscle cars in general are pretty raw and pretty serious cars, so I wanted the interior to have that same very serious feel. So just from the colors, it's very dark, a lot of dark rubberized materials, and then just no nonsense areas where your binnacle is for your gauges, steering wheel and the shifter, where all your detail and your bright pieces are. So, it really focuses where the important parts are, your shifter and your gauges, and that's all you need. You can see this this central area in the IP that surrounds the shifter. In the original, it had a gate that came around this trapezoidal shape, where this one, I wanted to keep that shape, but also angle the shifter and that top surface towards the driver. Kind of the philosophy for the whole car, as far as the materials, I imagine like the IP and the doors and everything being out of just a solid billet of aluminum, and then have a layer of this rubberized material, certain thickness, and then as if like a mill bit sliced through the rubber to reveal the aluminum underneath. So I wanted that same feel in the shifter handle, to where it's you see this layering of materials and just a very solid and milled feel to it. The old pistol grip shifter, it was a wood and metal, and it almost was inspired by the old Western handguns. Where this one, I was thinking more of like a modern type handgun, like a Glock, where it's plastics and metals and things like that. Well, the Challenger steering wheel, it was a 3-spoke design, and then on the column, which you can't really see in these photos, but it had almost like a bellows look to it, where it was a ribbed design. So I did a more technical version of that. One big change, actually, the transmission was originally an automatic, and I had designed an automatic transmission shifter for it, and we'd sent it to metal crafters. And as it was being built, Mike sent a pretty persuasive email saying how important that manual shift would be. So the design was changing, as it was being built, to get that put in the vehicle.
What I wrote was, most of the guys in the studio are muscle car enthusiasts, and they were all constantly saying, man, this thing has to have a 6-speed, it has to. And the ship was sailing, the car was going, it was being built at metal crafters. Like Alan said, he had designed the shifter as an automatic. And there was one little window of hope. I was just messing around on the internet once in a while, read the blogs and things, what people were saying. I was reading some things about Charger, and it was actually a blog that was on Popular Hot Rodding magazine. I was just surfing around in there, and they had some comments from some really big-time builders like Troy Trepagna and Steve Strope and some of the guys who build just awesome Mopars. And their criticism of the Charger was, well, yeah, I like the styling. It's not super retro, but it's cool. And I don't like the 4 doors. That they shouldn't have done that. And they mentioned that it doesn't have a 6-speed. So there was kind of those 2 things that I kept reading over and over in different blogs. So what I did is I copied a whole bunch of them, and I highlighted the areas about the 6-speed, because we kind of agreed to have the 2 doors, so we nailed it there. But we didn't have it yet with the 6-speed. So I just copied those. I sent them to Trevor Creed, who is our design leader. And one cool thing is that they're not afraid, a lot of times in Chrysler, they're not afraid to switch directions a little bit. He saw these comments, and Tom Tremont, our VP of Advanced Design, saw the comments, and he said, you know what, let's look at the build and see if there's any way we could change it right now, and they did.
It takes a little time to go back to it, but you know, I had designed the IP based on the information that was given to me at the time, and then we're all of a sudden switching to a shifter that I have no idea where in space that's going to be. So it was a lot of going back and forth to metal crafters to make sure it got, you know, put in the right position, there's enough clearance, and come up with a new design for it.
We didn't want the car to be, you know, have all these great write-ups, because we knew it had potential of getting positive input and have these good write-ups, and then at the end say, except it doesn't have this one thing. We want it to be, you know, just nail it.
At the show, I think one of the lighting guys came up to me and was like, "You nailed the interior, that's it, I had one of those." So yeah, there's just definitely a following for the interior of the car, and there's a memory of the interior that people wanted to see too.